The Drum Candy Podcast is brought to you by Drum Factory Direct.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 5 of season 5 of the Drum Candy Podcast, and this is your host, Mike Dawson, coming to you from Drum Factory Direct in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Once again, thanks to Simon Treasure for our intro beat for this season, and let's get to what's happening. Special announcement here. We are going to be kicking off the first of a monthly, semi-monthly drum hang in partnership with the Drum Candy Podcast, Drum Factory Direct, the Pennsylvania chapter of the Percussive Arts Society, and Hawthorne Drum Shop. We are going to be doing a drum hang. So the first one is on January 23rd from 6 to 9. So from 6-ish to 7:15, I'm going to be doing a drum tuning workshop. So if you want to bring one of your drums, we can get it tuned up. I'm going to focus on just general topics on how to tune toms for this one. And then the great David Throckmorton is going to give us a clinic performance from 7:30 to 9. These are pretty informal. They're free. They're going to be taking place at Hawthorne Drum Shop. Again, 6 to 9. So bring yourself, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, bring yourself, bring your students, bring your friends. We probably can accommodate upwards of 30 people. But it's going to be a good hang. We'll have some food and drinks and drums, and you get to see David just throw down like he always does. And I will nerd out on some drum tuning. So mark your calendar, 6 to 9, January 23rd. That's a Tuesday night at Hawthorne Drum Shop. And we will be doing these about every 6 weeks with different guests and different topics. So I look forward to seeing you. Hope you can make it. It'd be cool if you could RSVP, if you definitely can. So hit me with a DM on Instagram. You could hit our Drum Factory Direct Instagram or my personal page, Mike Dawson Drums. You can email drumcandypodcast@gmail.com. We would like to get a head count, so if you know if you're definitely going to come, hit me up so we know we at least have enough space to accommodate everyone. All right, let's get to our featured artist. This week's guest is the great Seb Thomson. Sebastian is an incredible rock drummer. I first became aware of him in the post-rock band Trans Am out of DC. Incredible band. If you haven't checked them out, check out their entire discography. It's super cool stuff. And now, most recently, for the past few years, he's been touring all over with Baroness, and they just put a new record out, which is killing. They just did the first leg of touring, so I'm sure they'll be coming back around. Just an incredible rock drummer, good hang. We kind of get into the weeds a bit about being left-handed and in a right-hander's world and all that. So here's the first part. Let's get to it with Seb Thomson. It's cool to talk to a fellow lefty, and unlike you, I conformed and learned how to play drums on a right-handed kit. And
you gave in. You gave in.
I gave in. So why did you play a left-handed kit?
I mean, I think the question is, why do you play a right-handed?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, because they're all set up that way. That was the decision I made.
Okay, so the answer is that I play everything else right-handed, because switching everything else is a massive pain in the butt. But switching a drum kit is pretty easy.
Interesting.
When you're, a little kid. So the way I started, I was going to be the singer in a band. I was like 14. And we had a drum kit just waiting for the drummer, and the drummer would never show up to rehearsal. So I would just sit at the kit. I switched it round and sat at the kit, and just then I would play drums. And we had a keyboard player, believe it or not. And he's the one that just was like, do this. Right. So, sorry. So it was because it was just a kick drum, a hi-hat, snare, and like a tom and a cymbal. It took like 2 seconds to switch, right? So I just got used to playing like that. That's what made sense to me. And then when I took a handful of lessons about a year or two later, and my teacher said, you're a lefty, you're still young, you should play in a right-handed kit, and you'll be like ambidextrous and amazing. And I said to him, well, then you should play in a left-handed kit. And he was like, yeah, forget that idea.
How did you even know it was a left-handed kit? Like, I remember looking at the TV thinking, all right, that's the way they play, so that's just what I do.
I think the keyboard player in that band had done some like school band something or other. And he's like, oh, you're left-handed, the snare goes on the other side.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was that. And I mean, the thing is, like, the drum set is only, what, 100 and some years old, if that. So there's not, I mean, there isn't like some, like, you know, set in stone way to do it. And honestly, I think this hands thing is interesting because my first instrument was violin. And if you think about it, the violin, if I'm just like using the bow and doing all the stuff with my left hand, the left hand is doing 100 times more stuff than the right hand. And that goes for righties. That's really bizarre if you think about it.
It is.
Right? And then if you think about guitar, if I'm just strumming chords, the left hand is doing so much more intricate stuff than the right hand. That's also really weird, right? So I think that some things are just tradition. And I think my theory is that stringed instruments started with more finger picking and less fretting.
Ah.
And that's why the strings are in the right hand. Right? If you think about bluegrass banjo, yeah, the right hand does a hell of a lot more than the left hand. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But as different instruments develop and different styles develop, it's like evolution. You're just stuck with the generation before. People very rarely start from zero. And like I remember when I took also a handful of those lessons, I remember asking my teacher, I was like, the kick drum patterns that I'm playing in these beats are so much more complicated than the snare backbeat. Why are we making the foot do this complicated stuff and the hand just go on 2 and 4? I mean, it sounds stupid, but obviously part of the answer is that the kick drum originally did really simple stuff. Mm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Quarter notes, half notes.
And now we're just stuck with it. And now when Thomas Hake plays Obson, I mean, what's the song of Obson? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Bleed. Is that the one?
Bleed. Yeah, when he plays Bleed, he's just doing backbeat on the snare, and the feet are doing hurtas. That's like if you created a drum kit, that would be completely the backwards way to do it. Right?
True.
Like, it's really bizarre. So my point is, this is kind of roundabout, but what I'm saying is that, like, in music, we just inherit things and we modify what we inherit. So, but yeah, I started playing left-handed because I think a drum kit is easy to switch around. I think a guitar is really hard to switch around. That's the short answer.
Now, did it cause any issues back in the day when you were having to share kits and, I mean, quick changeovers?
Do you know what? It actually caused a lot of benefits.
Really?
Which is that when you're practicing with your band and you take a break, your bandmates don't sit on your kit and try to play. Which is awesome.
Is that still the case now? No one touches your kit?
It's still the case now. Everybody's like, oh, I want to sit, and then like, fuck. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, of course, there's many shows where I've shared kits, and it doesn't cause a problem for me because I'm fast at it. And most shows where you're sharing kits, it's just like a 4-piece kit, probably.
Yeah.
And you're probably not sharing the cymbals anyway, so you have to change that around anyway. It's more of an issue sometimes for the sound guy at a small show with the cables being crossed and whatever. But I mean, it literally takes a minute.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
you know?
I've been contemplating trying to relearn left-handed because my right hip is starting to get some tendonitis. I'm like, maybe I should just play left-handed.
Do you play fully right-handed or do you play open-handed?
Fully right-handed. But I'm definitely left-hand dominant. It's weird.
So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, you start with your right hand.
Right. Yep.
So you're
I
fully right.
myself. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, but like I was saying, there's no there's almost not that much rhyme or reason to it. Like going back to what I was saying about the kick drum doing that complicated stuff, it's kind of weird that your weak hand that does the backbeat.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also kind of weird, right? I don't know.
How did you get into drums? I forget your biography in order. You were born in Argentina. How long were you there, and when did drums and music enter your life?
So the long story short is I came to America for kindergarten.
Okay.
Did my elementary school here. I played violin in school. I didn't play in rock bands in elementary school. I was already really into music, but just as a kid, as a fan, listening to whatever metal or pop music or whatever. And then after 8th grade, I went back to Argentina. And what happened was, like, I think most high school bands, you started playing covers.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the covers were American and English bands we were doing. And because I had just come back from America, my English was the best of all my new friends. So they're like, "You're going to be the singer." I was like, "Okay, fine," because I could speak English.
Uh-huh.
So like I said, we would go to practice, and the drummer, being a drummer, would never show up. So I would sit at the kit. And then eventually we realized that I play drums better than I sing.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it just went from there.
So I don't hear any tinge of a Spanish accent. Is your Spanish got an American tinge to it?
Well, it's changed over my lifetime. I mean, first of all, like, I was here from kindergarten to 8th grade.
Yeah.
That's your formative years.
Right.
3.5 years of high school is not going to erase, and my high school had English in the afternoon in Argentina. Okay. So it was bilingual, but when I came back to America after high school, my English was pretty weird. I had a weird accent when I came back. And now, all these years later, my Spanish kind of sucks.
That's interesting.
So it's like, I mean, early youth really cements your language, right? But it will always change slowly over your life.
Mm. So when did music become serious for you? And did you come from a musical family?
I mean, my parents played instruments, but they weren't. I mean, nobody in my immediate family, did music seriously or professionally, no.
Okay. So when did you decide I want to be a musician?
I always thought, hey, this is such an awesome hobby, right? I never thought I was going to be a profession. And I got an undergraduate degree in physics, and then I started a PhD in physics. And I was in a band called Trans Am at the time. And Trans Am started out in this sort of DC post-hardcore scene, but then became one of the first like post-rock bands. And so my first year of graduate school, we started doing well. We started going on tour, started making money and selling records. And that was really exciting. And I never of course you dream of it, but I never expected that. And so I said to myself, why not take a break from grad school? I can always go back in the future. Success in music requires a bit of luck and a bit of good timing. And if it happens, you should take the opportunity. But I never went back, obviously. Here I am, talking to you.
And I mean, to be successful with Trans Am, which is a pretty experimental band, how did you guys define success? You're able to pay your bills and tour?
Sure. I mean, I've never had a day job in my life since quitting grad school. That's how I define success. I mean, we were selling upwards of 30,000 copies a year. And
that's nice.
And this was before Napster.
Yeah.
Like we were selling vinyl and CDs, and we were going on tour. And at our height, we were playing, 1,200 capacity venues and stuff.
Yeah.
That's, so we had a moment for sure. And, I mean, we made enough money we had our own recording studio that we funded with the band and paid our rents and everything. So, yeah, it was awesome.
That is amazing. What is the status of Trans Am? Is it still a project?
So basically, we're still a band. The other guys are married with kids and day jobs and live really far. I live in New York. They live in California and New Zealand.
Oh wow!
And they're married with kids and day jobs. So, but we just got together about 2 months ago to work on a new album.
Nice.
But I feel like we've maybe done half the tracking we need to do. So it's up in the air when the three of us will be in the same room again together.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool. It was really fun. We worked really hard. I think we did lots of good stuff. It's not finished. It's going to take a couple more years.
What was the impetus? Did someone kind of usher you to do it, or I mean,
we never broke up. The last album was California Hotel, which was maybe only, was it like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. But basically, the impetus was that the guy that lives in New Zealand came to America to visit he's American. He came to visit his folks. So he was here for a while. So we just said, why don't you just tack on another week to your visit and we'll do some work.
Is that kind of are you the de facto leader of that project?
That's a total. It's only 3 guys, so it's really very democratic.
Okay. So how does the material come together? You get in a room and jam, or is there stuff written ahead of time?
That's a little bit of a bone of contention, because I wish we have differences of opinions. I wish we did a little more homework before meeting. Some of us believe more in the magic will happen in the studio, which, I mean, that's true. It can happen, but that happens if you're practicing 4 hours a day and actually playing with these people on a regular basis. Definitely magic can happen in the studio. If you haven't been practicing and you haven't played with these guys in 3 years, magic is not going to happen in the studio.
Yeah, it's like meeting each other for the first time again.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I've been playing with these guys since I was like 17 and they were 16. Mm-hmm. So we totally understand. We know how to communicate, and we know how to explain stuff to each other. But that can also be a problem because you sort of get stuck in these modes of writing, and it's hard to get to do new things sometimes.
Did you find that your playing had changed the ways you didn't realize when you got back together with them after having done all this work with Baroness?
100%. I mean, I noticed it and they mentioned it, and I think it's I mean, both bands, I think that Trans Am has sort of like sneaked in a little bit into Baroness as far as the drums go, and the other way around also. And I think it's cool. I think it works.
How do you define the two?
So, for example, Trans Am is much more, do you know the term motoric?
No, but I can sort of deduct it.
Motoric is that krautrock?
Yeah, that's what I think. Just a constant.
So, that's motoric, right? So that's a very Trans Am thing. Baroness has lots of parts, and like one part will go 3 times, this part will go 5 times for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. Things like Trans Am, there are songs that have one part, and it's just a groove, right? So on the new album, you'll notice there's moments in songs that are more in that just motoric. Mm-hmm. It just drives and it just goes, and there's a little bit of drum flair here and there, but nothing insane. And then there's no chord change. And in the other direction, Trans Am always toyed a little bit with sort of hardcore and post-hardcore and metal and thrash. There was a little bit of sprinklings in there, but there's way more now in the drums as a Baroness, for sure.
So when we talk about writing with Trans Am in the studio, how do you know when a track is finished? I asked a lot of people this. When you're writing collaboratively, like how far do you push it? Do you go too far and bring it back, or do you keep, where does it?
So the way we work, by the way, I just want to warn you, like I said, I'm at my parents' house. So it's a little bit like George Costanza and his parents. So you might hear them like yelling at each other.
Love it.
I mean, they love each other. It's great, but you know what I'm saying. Serenity now is all I'm saying.
Right.
Anyway, so the way Trans Am writes, at least now, because we haven't been living together in many years, like 20 years, we haven't lived in the same town. We have like a session 0 which is like, I just realized it's like a D&D term. But anyway, the session 0 is like, we send each other like just snippets of ideas or riffs or beats, right?
Uh-huh.
Then the real session is the meat of it. We're in the studio when we jam and we record and we track and we listen, that kind of stuff. And then we normally have to take a break because we're normally only together for a week. And then we all listen to everything. And then we get back together for a second session. And that session is the editing and the overdubbing, right? Where we add vocals or guitar solos or stuff like that, you know, and wrap up loose ends. And then we take another break. And then we get back together for a mix session. So there's like different layers of analysis, right? So if the question is, when do you know a song is finished? We don't really until the last session, which is the mix session, right? Because there could be songs that we really enjoyed playing at the time, but then when it comes to the overdubbing or editing or mixing, you start to realize it actually isn't as good as we thought. And maybe another track kind of rises up to the surface, you know. Baroness is not so much like that. I mean, there is an analogy in the sense that John and Gina do all the vocals after everything's tracked, at least after the rhythms beds are tracked. So there is like a level of listening, a time for listening where we can sort of like reconsider what we've done. And we always try to have more tracks than we're going to use. So once again, we'll write some songs where, oh, we think this is great. And then John tries to put vocals on it and it's just nothing works, or we're mixing and nothing works, or we're listening back and we're like, and then we just have to leave it behind. But yeah, you don't, my answer is that you don't know when in the first tracking session a lot of the time, or my bands don't know the first tracking session.
Are you largely done with your work in that first session as far as like actually hitting drums?
Yeah. Well, for Baroness, like for Stone, for the last 3 albums. So the first album I did with Baroness was Purple, and that we wrote like everything before we went to the studio. Like I had the drum fills. Like I had written out the parts on MIDI. Like it was like that nerdy, which was awesome because I could just go in there to give me a click track and I just play the song. I just play it 3 times. We use one main take and one verse that's better from that take and slide it in. Done. It was awesome. Golden Gray, we wrote a lot of that in the studio, which is fun. But there's a time crunch element, and there's also, like it's better to have your discussions and disagreements when you're writing rather than in the studio.
Yeah.
When you're paying hundreds of dollars a day and you're arguing in front of the producer, right?
Right.
So, but I have to say, our arguments are always fun, and I mean they're high energy, but they're never mean spirited. So that's good. So for Purple, we did drum and bass and guitar for like 2 or 3 songs at a time. I was done in the first week. Golden Gray, I was there for like pretty much the 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we were, it wasn't like, well, okay, we're doing drums now. It was a lot of things going on at the same time. In fact, in Golden Gray, we had two tracking rooms. So a lot of times we would split into 2 groups and work on stuff just as teams.
Wild.
A lot of the times, like Nick and I would be in one room working on a groove, coming up with stuff. And John and Gina would be working on guitar parts and overdubbing on another song. And then for Stone, that was about 4 weeks in a house that we rented in the mountains between New York State and Pennsylvania. And that was also everything kind of done at the same time, but it was only bass, drums, and rhythm guitar. All the leads, or most of the leads and the vocals, were done after that session. So yeah, so I was done with tracking Stone in November of 2020.
Wild.
Yes, because it was recorded during COVID, so that delayed everything.
Yeah.
And then also John just, he had a little bit of writer's block with the lyrics, which is fine. That happens. And then, he also does the artwork. So there's a lot of riding on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. So that sometimes makes the process a little slightly longer,
So you don't have any vocal ideas when you're tracking the drums? It's just riffs and parts?
No, I don't. And that's actually that's another slight bone of contention. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I'll put a drum fill between these two phrases.
Right.
Right. I don't want to put a drum fill where there's going to be vocals.
Yeah.
And every now and again, awkward stuff happens. Right. But that's the way it is.
So you don't have to go back and edit out bits or anything like that?
I mean, 98% of the time, John works around what we've done.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So do you write parts with that in mind? Like, I have to be careful, but also throw in something that might inspire him?
I mean, so basically how it works is I'll send John and Nick and Gina many drum ideas, recordings, and they'll pick the 20% they like and write riffs to that.
Mm.
So I already have kind of an idea of what I'm doing. And then we get together and we jam as a band, and then we arrange stuff. And then, you sort of start to get an idea of okay, what can I do to transition between parts, or maybe this doesn't need a transition, or things like that. I think it's maybe subconsciously a little bit obvious where the vocals might be. I think it's more of an issue for Nick harmonically sometimes, because all he has to work with is other guitar parts, and sometimes he feels he's also a jazz player, so he doesn't have. I think a lot of rock bass players are I'm going to add maybe rhythmic interest to the guitar riff, but jazz guys are I need to add harmonic content.
Right.
It's a different way of thinking. So I think for him sometimes he wishes he had some vocals to work off, but then the argument could be that John needs to have everything else done to do the vocals.
Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong way, honestly.
Yeah.
Because every element plays off the other elements.
So for me, the tendency is to simplify my fills when I don't know what else is going on. But there are times when you go a whole bar fill or something. Is that kind of urged by the band? I mean, how do you get that
honestly,
permission?
honestly, I only do that when I think as a band we're we need a drum moment here.
Uh-huh.
I don't normally just force it in. No, I'm not. I'm actually a little bit shy about it.
Okay.
I don't want to be totally overbearing. So there's moments there's a couple of long fills on Beneath the Rose, right? But I think we talked about that. We were let's have a fucking long moment here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go a little overboard,
That's very cool. And then what about some of this is what I love about the new record. I think it's the opening track towards the outro. You throw in these little flips, these little inversions, these little kind of unexpected things.
When I play 16th notes on the hi-hats?
Yeah, and just the way that you kind of interlope these, they're not fills, they're just unexpected variations and stuff.
Do you know the genealogy of that is, if you listen to Sunday Bloody Sunday by U2, that intro is a little bit of where I got that from. And then there's a Trans Am song called I Want It All, where I do that a little bit. And then when we were coming up with the outro for that song, I realized, this isn't a similar BPM. I'm going to try some of this stuff. It's those fills where they start and end not in the normal place, not in the standard places.
Right.
It's a little what? That's intentional.
Is it improvised with intention, or do you kind of write them out and do it the same every time?
No, that was totally improvised. I just, that's a little sort of lick that I've always kind of messed around with. So it was easy for me to improvise that one. That was not written in. Yeah, I was just messing around.
Very cool. So you mentioned Sunny Blende Sunday. That's the song that forced me to play right-hand lead. Because I tried to do it left-hand lead on a right-hand kit.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. Of course. You're right. That makes sense.
Yeah, that was the day I remember it. Like, I have to learn how to play right-handed because I can't play Sunday Bloody Sunday.
He's like, he's not a choppy drummer or a shirty drummer, but he writes totally memorable drum parts.
Yeah.
And I think that's as hard. I think that's awesome.
We will finish up our hang with Sebastian next week, but for now, let's get to a lesson. Welcome into the first of 4 articles on how to play in 7/8 with 16th notes. And in this one, we're going to do just some basic fundamentals of how to count and how to play groupings in 7/8. Since we're in 7/8 time, that means we have 14 16th notes to deal with. And the best way to organize these is to think of groups of 4 and 3. One of the most common ways to play 7/8 in 16th notes would be 4 plus 4 plus 6, and then we're going to actually play those 6s as 2 3s. So it'll be 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 3. I'm going to start just by playing alternating strokes, starting with the right, and for those of you who are just listening, I'm going to put the right hand on the floor tom, left hand on the snare, so you can really hear what each hand is doing. And put an accent at the start of each grouping, so 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 3.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1.
Let's do the same thing, alternating, but start with the left. So it'll be left on the snare first. 4 4 3 3.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7.
I think one of the most important things about being fluent in different time signatures is to be able to mix and match different stickings. So an easy one to do would be play all the accents with one hand and all the unaccents with the other. So I'm going to start with right hand playing the accent. So here are accent on the floor tom, and then all the other 16ths will be played lightly on the snare.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1.
Now let's do the same thing starting with the left. So it'll be left accents, and then right hand fills in all the unaccented notes.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7.
All right, now let's apply some paradiddles. So for the 4s, it makes sense to just play them as paradiddles. So right, left, 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 or left, right, left, left, right. When we get to the 6s, or the 2 sets of 3s, we can play a double paradiddle. The challenge is there's an accent in the middle of it. So right, left, right, or left, left. Let's try that starting with the right. Again, right hand on the floor tom, left hand on the snare.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1.
Now let's flip the sticking. So we're doing left hand on the snare to start. So it'll be a left paradiddle, right paradiddle, and then a left double paradiddle.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1.
You probably noticed, but with the paradiddle variations, the sticking reverses every time the pattern repeats. Obviously, you can do any sticking you want, any 4-note sticking or 6-note sticking. You can apply it to the groups of 4 and 6. But we're going to do one more, and it's the inverted paradiddle for the 4. So right, right, or left, left. And then for the 6 notes, or the 2 groups of 3, we're going to do, I guess you could technically call it an inverted double paradiddle. So right, left, right, or left, right, left. Here's what that sounds like if you start with the right.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1.
And here's what it sounds like if you start with the left.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1.
Okay, obviously there's a lot to work with there. If you've not played any of this stuff before, that could take you a while, but if you're ready for a challenge, you don't have to play 7/8 as 4 plus 4 plus 6. You can move that 6 to the beginning. So we'll try all the same variations, but we're going to start with the 6. So it'll be 6 plus 4 plus 4. Let's start alternating, starting with the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Alternating, starting with the left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Now let's try that double paradiddle plus 2 paradiddles, starting with the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1,
And double paradiddle plus 2 paradiddles, starting with the left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2.
Now let's try those inverted paradiddles. So it'll be an inverted double paradiddle and then 2 inverted paradiddles, starting with the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1.
And lastly, the inverted double paradiddle, starting with the left, and then 2 paradiddles, starting with the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
My guess that probably feels and sounds pretty foreign to you if you've not messed with different groupings in 7/8 that are a little bit more unconventional. There's still one more that is kind of really odd and uncommon. That's to put the 6 in the middle. So you do a 4 plus 6 plus 4. Same thing, alternating, starting with the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2.
Alternating, starting with the left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All accents with the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2.
All accents with the left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Paradiddle, starting with the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2.
Paradiddle, starting with the left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1.
Inverted paradiddle, starting with the right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2.
And lastly, inverted paradiddle, starting with the left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2.
So spend time with those different options, work on all the stickings for the different groupings, get real fluent with it, and then ultimately you should be able to improvise, or you want to be able to improvise 16th note patterns in 7/8 that can kind of freely go between these 3 different versions of 4/4/6 or 6/4/4 or 4/6/4. So it just starts to sound a little bit more open-ended, less kind of repeating every measure. So give that a shot. Let me know what you think, and next time we will start incorporating the bass drum.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1.
This is a question that came in from Alex. Topic of snare wires and bottom heads. When should we think about changing one versus the other to achieve certain sounds? It's good question. I think the bottom side of the snare drum, and quite frankly, is the one part of any drum that you should think about the least. If the bottom head is not overstretched or bent or cracked, in general, I don't touch it. It's when it starts to get overstretched and the hoop starts to get down closer to the barren edge is when I know it's time to change it, because those will usually pull out before they'll break. So you won't really know that they're about to pull out until it's too late, and you're on the gig and it just sounds like you're playing a cardboard box and you didn't realize that the bottom head is broken. So I tend to not change the bottom head on the snare drum until it starts to show some signs of being overstretched or worn out. Same thing with wires. If they're not rattling, if they're not buzzing, if they're not accidentally dented or like pulled and stretched and bent, causing some rattle, and the drum sounds cool, I leave it alone. As far as mixing up different models, I think a medium grade bottom head, so like a 300 series Evans or an Ambassador Remo. I think Aquarian just has the one size. Just a basic thin bottom head is going to get you through almost anything. I would only bump up to a thicker one if you're hitting really hard and you're just blowing through bottom heads, and I only go to a thinner one if you're only playing really quiet, like orchestral style or really delicate music. Otherwise, the middle of the road thin snare side head is going to be perfect. As far as the wires, I personally like less rattle out of a snare drum, so I usually start with 16s. Most people start with 20s, and I will adjust depending. If a drum just feels a little bit too dry and not giving me enough like crispiness, I'll bump it up. If I have a 16, I'll bump it up to a 20. If I have a 20 on there and it still sounds too dry, I might bump up to a 25. Very rarely do I go for the super wide 42 strands. If a drum comes with those and it sounds good, I won't mess with it. So it's kind of the same philosophy. I don't mess with the wires until it's not giving me the results that I want. Either it's rattling too much, or I'm just not getting enough snare sound. Those are the two parameters. If I need more snare sound, I'll go to a wider one. If it's rattling too much, I'll just replace whatever's on there. All right, there's a bunch of other questions to follow up regarding that topic, but we'll save that for next time. For now, let's get to our warehouse pick of the week. I know we're getting towards the end of the holiday gift buying season, but we do still have some stick bag gift packs available, and we have some snarehead tune-up packs available. The stick bags, I think they're all 5As. You get a couple different types of sticks. You get a nice stick bag. Some of them have moon gel, some of them have a drum key. So we have those available. They're ready to go. Great price. So that's a great gift. Maybe if you forgot to get someone a gift and you want to get it to them after the holidays, we've got those. The snarehead tune-up pack comes with a 10 mil coated batter head, the thin snare side clear head. These are all DFD branded stuff, and a set of 20 strand wires. So if you just need, and those are really affordable. I think it's like $20 or something. So if you just need a refresh pack for your snare drum, good, decent, medium grade batter head, a thin snare side, and a good set of wires, go check those out. So go take a look on drumfactorydirect.com for the stick bag gift packs and the snarehead tune-up kits. That is it for this week's episode. Once again, mark your calendars for January 23rd. If you're anywhere in the Pittsburgh area, come hang out with us and David Throckmorton and the Hawthorne Drum Shop crew and the PAS Pennsylvania chapter folks. We're going to be there for 3 hours, 6 to 9, January 23rd, tuning some drums, watching Dave play. It'll be a good hang. I think we got some pizza coming and some beverages. So it'll be a casual. Bring your friends, bring your students, and we'll see you there. And as always, if you don't mind giving us a review, give us a 5-star rating. That helps spread the show to more listeners around the world. Make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel and following Drum Factory Direct's socials and my page, Mike Dawson Drums. And we'll be back next week to finish up our chat with Seb. We have another lesson, some more fun. So see you next week.